Peter. Good morning. It's Monday, August 28th, and we are nearing a full moon this week. The initiation is a little bit different than all the other initiations. It's a cuspy week. We have moved into the energy of Virgo, and we have so many planets retrograde. It's not feeling like the type of Virgo we're used to. Usually when Virgo energy rolls in, we start to get this drive to get organized and healthy and on task. And this time we're definitely taking things one step at a time. We're being slow, we're being deliberate, we're really being conscientious of the patterns we'd like to put in place in our lives right now. And so it's not necessarily the kind of detail-oriented Virgo that we would normally experience. And even with all of that being said, the initiation for this week is always the same. If I'm ever doing a reading for someone and they have a planet on the cusp between Leo and Virgo, this is the story I share with them. And it's written out in my year ahead planner, which it's still available on Amazon. I'm going to be, for some people who don't have it yet, I'm going to be marking it at 50% off, or maybe even like more than that, because we're near the end of the year. And even though we've got a good chunk of the year left, and I still feel like it'll serve us, obviously most of the year's passed. So I'm just going to let you all know, if you know people that want to get a handle on one of these for the rest of the year, that will be going discount starting this afternoon. But I'm not going to read out of it today. I'm actually just going to summarize the story between the lion, the mouse, and the priestess. Basically, Leo season activates the lioness, the lion inside of us. We are here on this planet as natural, driven, relaxed, crazy, wild humans. We have all these different sensations, all these biological drives, and the lion during Leo season is getting us in touch with why we're even in a body in the first place. Why are we even here? What's the point of being here if we can't eat the food, smell the flowers, have the fun, play in the mud? Like, if we can't actually enjoy being in an earth space, then why are we on an earth space? So during the entire Leo season, we're actually meant to taste all the things and be all the things and chase all the things and feel all the things, so that we can get back in touch with that fuel, and that fuel will guide us through the rest of the cycle. It's a passionate, fueling time to help us remember why we're alive. And the story of the lion and the priestess is one where the lion is having the time of its life. It's chasing the mouse. It's following the path of its most present desires, and it follows the mouse into a beautiful garden. And the mouse very wisely tucks into a bramble bush, a thorny, maybe blackberry. There's wild blackberries growing on my friend's property right now. We are pulling these blackberries off, and the thorns are all over the place. I'm sure that's a safe place for tiny rodents to also hide, because the bigger predators cannot go in there. Except the lion, being so playful and in the moment, gets right in there, chases the mouse right into the bramble bushes, and starts to feel the pain of the pokes, and writhes and writhes in pain in this thorny bush, and realizes, oh no, I can't get out. The mouse gets away, but now the lion is stuck. The lion's in a mess, and it doesn't know how to get out, and it tries to use its pure brute strength to get itself out of these bramble bushes. But every time it pushes against the vines, it just rips the flesh more and more, and it's so upsetting. The ego flares up. There's roaring, there's thrashing. It's just, how long will the lion push with its pure brute strength? How long will it push before it actually begins to realize that that strength is not alone going to get it out of that bramble bush? So at a certain point, what the lion didn't realize is all the noise had alerted the owner of the garden. and we call her the priestess. The owner of the garden comes down. She's looking at this scene with this huge, strong beast thrashing in her garden, making a complete mess, completely like completely unaware of her presence. She comes to the gates of the garden and she slowly approaches. Now, she knows how powerful the lion is. She knows that the lion could do her so much damage if the lion's not conscious. And so she creates a lot of space and presence and patience. Eventually, the lion surrenders to the situation and begins to relax. And in its relaxation, it sort of comes to a place of prayer. It just asks, like, please help me. I can't get out of this alone. And in the space of prayer, the priestess sees that the lion has now opened itself in humility to receiving help. And as that happens simultaneously, she moves forward. I'm calling it a she, and I'm calling the lion a he, but these are gender neutral sort of archetypes. As the lion relaxes, it suddenly becomes aware of its environment because now it needs help. So it looks out to the environment, sees the priestess sees the lion, see her, and there's a moment where the priestess could become afraid and the lion could become, the lion could become proud. And instead of becoming proud, the lion remains humble. And instead of becoming afraid, the priestess continues to move toward. And in that very gentle, slow movement, there's a breath taken, and both parties realize that they can help each other, that they're there for each other. The lion needs the priestess to come with her balm and her presence and her patience to pull the brambles off. And the priestess sort of needs to address the lion a certain way so that she can bring harmony back to her garden. Because while the lion is there, the garden is in a state of chaos. So they meet. She removes the vines. The lion is eternally grateful to her. She puts on the balm, and the lion allows itself to rest, and she allows herself to rest. And there's this beautiful union and embrace. And this is signified in the archetypal card of the Strength card. You see on the Strength card in Tarot, you see this lion and this female figure in union. Sometimes her hand is in the lion's mouth, signifying that she's safe, that the lion's not going to hurt her. The lion has become her ally, and the lion is allies to the priestess as well. And it's important to acknowledge this story right now, because if we're identifying strongly with one of these characters, whether we identify with the lion, who's always getting themselves into mischief and always needing help, then we might be feeling a lot of discomfort during Virgo season. And if we identify totally even more with the priestess, and we see that our life is the garden and these lions keep getting in here and messing up our harmony, we might also be very frustrated and resentful of Virgo season, because we're always taking on that role and we're always having to clean up this mess or whatever, right? So the important thing for us to do is acknowledge that both of these characters are us. Both. We are the lion and we are the priestess. We are the one that is meant to enjoy life on this planet Earth. We are meant to follow our instincts, follow our interests. We are meant to get into certain bramble bushes in our lives that are painful, and we are meant to humble ourselves, to open up to the guidance and the surrender, the support of the universe, and then to receive that. And sometimes we receive that in the form of either ourselves coming to our own rescue, or these beautiful people that are in our lives who also come to our aid and assistance. It's not a time necessarily to judge any part of the story. We're not meant to judge the lion, the mouse, the priestess, the garden, the mess, the chaos. We're not meant to judge any of it. We're just meant to understand that we're playing some of those roles. We're playing maybe all of them at once. And other people are playing parts of those roles as well. And if we understand that every part has a sacred part in the play, and I say in the initiation, this story is up for our own interpretation, but I always end the story by revealing that every part of the story is in fact us when we allow it to be. The 10 of Pentacles is about coming home to the garden of our own creation, being the lion and the priestess, being the physical beast and the divine love. We are complete and whole and human. And the whole of Virgo season is to own all of it. Moving into the next half of our cycle, which is a co-creative half, requires us to own all of these parts so that we're not projecting these unfulfilled parts, these unaccepted parts. We're not projecting those onto others as we move into Libra season and beyond. If we move into Libra season as the lion, then every person we meet is going to have to show up as the priestess who owns the garden. If we show up as only the priestess, then every person we encounter out in Libra season and beyond is going to be a lion messing up our harmony. And so if we own that we are all these things, then we allow everyone else to be all those things as well. And we will encounter the reflection. We've already got Mars in Libra now, helping us to move into relationships so that we can see our own side of the street even more clearly. So this is how this week is shaping up. And now I'm going to go through the day by day and sort of talk about how each day is shaping up. And then we'll move into kind of a little bit of what we have to look forward to in the next 3 weeks. So on Sunday, the 27th, which was yesterday, the moon was in Capricorn and it was in a square. So it was in a tight configuration to Chiron, but it was also in a trine to Jupiter. It was promoting some growth. Mars moved into Libra yesterday. The sun was also opposite Saturn. So the energy of yesterday, the words I have are, it's business time. It's business time, and we're in the business of becoming who we want to become. Now, in light of the initiation, what we want to become is going to be dependent on what we already are. If we already are very lion-y, then maybe we want to become more of that priestess energy. If we're already very priestessy, what if we let our hair down and become a little more lion-y, which is what I'm doing right now. If we're really avoiding a part of us, if there's a part of us that we've been pushing away, yesterday may have revealed how we can let some of that acceptance of those parts in more fully. I posted a short video yesterday about how I had a dream about my childhood priest when I was a kid, and he was someone, he didn't do anything bad to me. I had no personal relationship with him, but for some reason, because he showed up in my world as a child, and he represented things that I definitely thought were embarrassing and cringy and unacceptable, I created a really strong judgment, and I even polarized further toward, I definitely don't want to show up public speaking like that. I don't want to show up in any of those ways. And interestingly enough, yesterday I had a dream about this person, haven't thought about this person in over like 30 years. But yesterday I wrote these prompts down before yesterday even occurred. And here it is. if I was in the business yesterday of becoming what I want to become, I would become someone who's okay being a little embarrassing, a little bit cringy, a little bit awkward. I'm becoming the awkward, cringy lion in my life, not the one that forces perfection every time she shows up. And so this is freeing me, filling me out in the areas where I've limited myself. So that's just an example from my life. Maybe you have examples as well. On Monday, today, Uranus is beginning a retrograde, and Uranus has been moving through Taurus since 2018. It moves forward and back every year, but when it starts to move retrograde from our perspective, that's when we've actually done enough of Uranus work for the year so far. It's like Uranus is just pushing. It's been pushing us to create long-term sustainability. And so it's been innovating. Innovate how you make money, innovate how you get your needs met, innovate how you create sustainability. And today marks a milestone in that journey where, okay, you've initiated enough this year. Now let's just do all the things you've initiated. Let's just do them. Let's just do them. You don't need to add more stuff to your plate. So wherever you have Uranus in your chart, I personally have Uranus in the space of my 6th house, which is my workload. So I've been adding things to my workload and innovating my workload, my daily habits, my daily rituals. Finally, Uranus is like, that'll do, donkey, that'll do. I don't know if that's Shrek's, that movie's been out a long time, but anyways, Uranus is saying, you got enough work on your plate, girl. Just do what you've committed to and let that be good. Don't add anything else. So there's one area of your life where Uranus is telling you that. And the words I have for Monday today are, now flush out everything you've already added to your plate. Flush it out. Just get it in a rhythm. You've added enough. Now get it in rhythm. If this was music, all the instruments are playing. Now just let those instruments find their groove and begin to jam. So that's the energy for today. The moon's in Aquarius. It's meant to be a vibe. Let it be a vibe. Let yourself see how this will vibe long term. On Tuesday, the 29th, the moon will still be in Aquarius. It's going to be in opposition to Venus, Black Moon Lilith, the Leo stuff. And the words I have are, what am I versus what they need. Oh, no, that's not, sorry. You guys are writing like crazy. What I am versus what they need. So there's two pieces of this equation, what I am versus what they need. Usually, the more you become what you are, usually that's getting it more and more in right relationship with what they need. So this could be in relationships, this could be in business, this could be in your relationship with your family. What I am actually is what they need. So balance that equation on Tuesday and realize that it's a permission slip to be even more of what you are. And trust that the more you are what you are, the more you belong, delivering whatever it is the people around you need. And then on the 30th, we've got a full moon in Pisces. The moon will be in Pisces. It's a new moon, it's a full moon in Pisces. That means the sun is in Virgo, the moon is in Pisces. We've got this opposition between Virgo and Pisces. The moon will also come into a conjunction with Saturn. Saturn's in Pisces. It's been in Pisces since March. This is actually a pretty massive checkpoint, and I actually see this as the end and the beginning of a new spiritual timeline. It's the end and the beginning. So we've been Every day is a new end and beginning. Like it's like very we say this all the time, but it's especially potent during Pisces stuff, because whenever we have a moon in Pisces, it's always the end of a moon cycle. Even if we have a new moon or a full moon, you know, in a different sign. So whatever. My main point is Pisces energy is always an end and a beginning. It's the womb space. It's the universe. It's the fruit with the seed in it, and then Aries becomes the seed in the earth. So we're at a fullness moment, and a fullness moment with a full moon means it's extra full. It's an extra full moment, and it's an extra ending moment, and it's an extra birthing moment. And so I also, Pisces things are usually moments when there's just not words. Like it's beyond words. I could try to mumble around and find those words, but it's a feeling full moon. So just be, honestly, as a callback to the story of the lion, this might be the moment where the lion finally surrenders to the universe and says, okay, I'm humble. Please, universe, help me. Like, please, universe, guide me. Please, universe, use me to serve. This could be the moment when you find your new spiritual mission, and it could be something even more simple than you ever thought was possible. Maybe it is just simply to be alive in the moment, and maybe Wednesday's the day you realize that. So that's Wednesday. And then on Thursday, the moon will still be in Pisces, and it will be opposite Mercury. I feel like if we completely let go and we open to a new spiritual story on Wednesday, then on Thursday, we start to be in communication. So Mercury's in Virgo. Mercury is that priestess heading toward the lion to remove the thorns and deliver the balm. So it could be that on Thursday, you're experiencing some of that balm action. And it might come in the form of understanding. And then on Friday, the moon will move into Aries. This starts a new manifestation cycle. Moon in Aries, it'll be opposite Mars. Mars is in Libra. And this is a whole, I have a question for this day. The question is, what character are you playing now? If the lion was so changed by its experience in the bramble bush and its surrender to the priestess in the garden, and it received that hug and that warmth and that healing, the lion is now a different type of animal. The lion now trusts the priestess, and the priestess trusts the lion. The wildness has become, in some ways, harnessed by our priestess. And so there's a new character emerging on Friday that brings union to these two archetypes within us. And I think we'll be acting from that, and we'll be witnessing a difference in our relationships because of that. Less projection, or less unconscious projection, right? We're always projecting, but maybe there'll be less unconscious projection. And then on Saturday the 2nd, the moon will be in Aries, and it will come into a conjunction with Chiron. And the question I have for Saturday is, how does this new character heal wounds? And just following along with our story, if we have a new character that's a union between the lion and the priestess, and we are entering into relationships with this wholeness, then what is actually healing in relationships now? Is it that we see the wholeness in others more fully? We carry less judgment of others, and maybe that lack of judgment is also given to us because we're giving it to ourselves. So I'm feeling like this week is a beautiful week. If there was one day of the week that I felt could be lion in the bramble bushy, I would say it would be Wednesday during the full moon. Maybe we're feeling a little bramble bushy in our maybe Tuesday while the moon is opposite Black Moon Lilith and Venus retrograde. Maybe we feel a little tenderness on Tuesday and Wednesday that finally opens us to the humbleness and surrender. I did have a friend message me on Saturday asking me for that surrendering prayer again. And I've shared this prayer many, many, many times. But because she called, she's like, hey, like 2 years ago, you did a video about this thing with cold water that like resets your psyche. And I can't remember all the details. Can you tell me that again? And I was like, oh, maybe you're talking about the surrender prayer. Okay. So I shared with her, and you can make this as elaborate or as simple as possible. But the way it was told to me from my very first astrologer was you get yourself some oil of spikenard, which you don't have to have that, but this is what he suggested. Get yourself some oil of spikenard. Anoint your hands and feet, your heart and your head. Say the prayer. You can fall on your knees and say it. It doesn't matter what position you put your body in to say a prayer. You might not even have to say it out loud, although I will suggest you say it out loud because the voice and the vocal cords make a connection that is even more real. You say a prayer that feels like this. Use your own words. The words that were given to me are, please God, take from me everything that's keeping me from you. Now, everyone's got different feelings about those words, but essentially what you're doing is you're saying, I'm in relationship with you. Please take away anything I'm willfully holding on to that's keeping me out of alignment with my greatest grace, with the grace of the universe, with the grace of my higher self. Please take from me anything that's keeping me from you. Then you throw yourself into a wild, cold body of water. Now, when this was proposed to me, I was terrified of cold water. I was like, yeah. So I actually just grabbed a stone. I whispered the prayer into the stone. I had no oil. I threw the stone into a well, into a wishing well. I was at Yogananda's retreat. I had just taken a silent retreat. So this was the first words I uttered after a 3-day silent retreat. And I uttered them very quietly into the stone. And then I dropped it into the well. And I was like, ooh, I hope that worked. And then within 3 weeks, my divorce papers were signed. I was living somewhere else and the entire ordeal was over. It was rapid. It happened so gracefully. I couldn't have willfully caused it to happen more effectively, efficiently, and gracefully. So that was the first time I said the prayer. I've said it several times since. And most recently, I said it and I filled a bathtub full of cold water. I actually used the spikenard. I did all the things and I submersed myself in cold bath water. And it was so effective. The situation resolved itself within like 3 weeks. The person that was living with me was out. We were broken up. I was on my path back with my person I'm with right now. I was back in alignment with my family. Like it happened fast. So it's a powerful prayer. You know when you want to say it. This might be a week that you're feeling called to say it. Any iteration of this prayer works from my experience. The part that's most important is the earnestness from which you pray it. And all the other stuff is just ceremony. And ceremony is beautiful, but also the intention is first. So I'm sharing that because this full moon on Wednesday would be a perfect time to do that. Now I'm going to open it up for our group conversation. I'm so grateful for you all tuning into this, and I'll see you next time.